He's gay, he's black, and he's dead. But not before adding one more item of interest to his resume. He also became a homicidal maniac. I am, of course, speaking about Bryce Williams, the fired, disgruntled ex news anchor. Okay, I want to talk tonight a little bit about that. That is definitely, indeed, quite the topic. I don't know if you've been paying attention to my blog or not, but I had mentioned a couple of episodes ago that I had been terminated a lot in my life, and you know they were almost all not my fault. I mean, yeah, I really sat down with myself and I had a heart to heart. I mean, why are you gonna lie to yourself? Um, but yeah, okay. So of course, Bryce Williams, real name, what is it? Vespa, like a scooter. Oh my God, I wonder if that was his nickname, Scooter, as a kid. I don't know. But yeah, so this Bryce Williams, he um he cited ongoing racial and homophobic discrimination. Um, and like I was saying a couple of episodes ago, remember how I said they always pull out the mental illness as a blanket statement that covers all, that takes care of all. Um, I'm not discounting uh, this man's mental illness, and I'm not saying that what he did was right. The only thing that I'm saying is that why aren't they focusing more on his reasons? I know it was said, well, of course it's going to be said by the news station that, his claims were vetted and dismissed. Yeah, I've had that happen to me too. Claims of discrimination summarily dismissed and ruled out. Um, I don't work at a news station, but I can definitely imagine, what this man was most likely talking about. You know, um, there's an R&B artist, late '80s, early '90s, by the name of Michelle A. And she came out with, she had a handful of hits. One was called Nice Tea. It's a combination, play on words, nice and nasty. Uh, Long before white people were throwing around the term frenemies, black people were using the term nice tea. And basically, it's the same thing, soft sell, passive aggressive, um, smiling through clenched teeth, when you really hate somebody. And of course, the little diabolical chess moves that go into systematically dismantling you on your job. I've definitely had that happen to me. Like I said, a couple videos ago, there is a lot of psychological damage. My mental illness, it's not idiopathic. It is not some great mystery. It's readily quantifiable. I can definitely tell you, where it comes from, how it came to be. Endless terminations. I'm sitting here having my civil rights systematically stripped away from me, But if I were to flip out and go on a shooting rampage, all they're going to say is mental illness. He was crazy. But they don't want to talk about how my voting rights were taken away. They don't want to talk about how my job fired me exclusively for the reason of becoming disabled, physically disabled, that is, after my accident and having my ankle surgically rebuilt. You know, they won't talk about how I had an immaculate service record with my last security job. No call-outs, no absentees, no verbals, no write-ups, no anything. But the moment I became physically disabled and required a prosthetic leg brace to support and aid me in my mobility, well, they found that to be too much of a liability. At least that's what was explained to unemployment, that it is too much of a liability and that they do not want my services any longer. So I was basically thrown out like garbage. And it's not an isolated incident. It's just the latest mental scar, the latest psychological trauma. And like I said, I'm expected to be a good sport. I'm expected to take it in stride. I am expected to just simply metabolize it and have it abate. You know, but how much of this stuff can they shove down your throat before you ultimately just regurgitate it? And that's what it is, you know. Taking a risk here, stepping out on a limb to speak on behalf of all the Bryce Williams of the world. There's only so much we can take. Society doesn't want to take responsibility for the things that the things that they do to us, the people. You're not rich, you're not powerful, you don't have friends in the right places. Just simply learn to get along without your civil rights. That's all. That's all you have to do. Learn to get along without your civil rights. So yeah, that's what was it? Wasn't it a couple of years ago? There was a LAPD officer. I don't know. I'm gonna botch the name. Either the first or the last name was something like Dorian or Doreen or something. Maybe the first name was Michael. But one thing I do not forget about this particular incident, this officer whose choo-choo jumped the track and went on a killing rampage. He kept saying that he wants his name back, and I understand what he meant. He wanted his good name, He didn't want it to be mired, to be systematically terminated and written off as garbage. Garbage. Also, before I get too segued here, I want to talk about something that's very, very important. Now, regardless of what you think of me, whether you approve of my tactics or don't approve of them, put a pin in that. There is in the news, oh God, what was it? She's a forensic and a geriatric psychiatrist. I know, it's like, what the hell kind of a mix is that? Her first name was Carla, oh God, I think I forgot the last name. Rogers, yes, Carla Rogers. And this woman, she said some rather stark and eerie things. She's basically talking about what society, ooh, careful with that word, what society needs to do is to start taking better care of these people when they get terminated. When people get terminated, you just can't treat them as if they're not your problem any longer, meaning the company's. That they're not the company's problem any longer, and to just simply, pull a Pontius Pilate, dip your hands in the metaphorical basin of water, and absolve yourself of the whole ordeal once they are terminated. Now, this psychiatrist, whatever, she is all she talked about was that this is mental illness and that these people need to be watched, monitored. After being fired. I remember, people, this thing can make its way to you, where you will be watched even more than you are now. Monitored. It's a very dangerous, slippery slope. Very dangerous. So, what happens? What happens when you are determined to be a potential risk? Potential? Well, hold on, Total Control. They wouldn't do that. Are you sure? Well, they already deny you your Second Amendment rights based on the potential of what you may or may not do. If I'm not mistaken, I think one case, do I want to say New Jersey? No, it wasn't New Jersey. Because I know New Jersey has some really tough gun control laws, or it may have been. Anyway, the point is that there is a man who has license to own, a permit to own. I don't know if he has a permit to carry or not. But apparently his wife got into some sort of a issue where she is a convicted felon, and because they live under the same roof, he can't have his weapons, he can't have his firearms because his wife has a felony charge. So your civil rights are being socialized, diluted. I don't know if the term homogenized would work here, but you're now being denied, based on what you potentially might do. Now, Hamilton Township Police Officer Wade Smith saw fit to relieve me of my telescopic riot baton. I think I demonstrated it very briefly in the last video I put up. Actually, I had recorded and uploaded that video to YouTube a while ago, but I think due to length issues, I had to verify the account. Whatever, more government spying shit. But yeah, I was able to publish it, and therefore you see the telescopic baton. And so Officer Wade Smith sees fit to relieve me of this, saying that I cannot have it. I didn't see anywhere in the Second Amendment where it says I'm not allowed to, that I need a license, And he says, "Oh, well, that's firearms." No, Officer Smith, it doesn't say firearms. It just says the right to bear arms. Okay. And I'm sure were I to commit a crime with either a knife or, I guess, pretty much any object, I bet if I took a wrench that was big enough and robbed somebody, that would be armed robbery. Am I right? Would that not be the charge you would give me? Okay, so it's an armament, it's a weapon, and you see fit to take this from me. Now, if you forage around in New Jersey's laws, that governs these so-called batons, maces, asp, whatever you want to call it. I am a state licensed security officer. I do have a valid SORA license, and I do self-employed work, 1099 self-employed work. I get phone calls occasionally from various security outfits needing additional help. And I'll just sign on for the day or a couple days or whatever the case may be. Sometimes they'll pay cash, sometimes not, but bottom line, I take care of my own taxes from that employment. But still, I'm an American. I have a right to bear arms. Apparently, apparently not in Officer Smith's, not in his eyes. And I even asked him. I said to him, Officer Smith, by chance, have you ever seen the movie Minority Report? He said no. And I told him that the movie is based on a society that criminalizes and punishes its people for the crimes they may potentially commit, specifically murder, that they might committed. So, this is our society. We're driven to extreme. We are becoming radicalized. I have always considered myself a pacifist. But there's one thing that I have indeed noticed. Terrorism does work, like it or not. It levels the playing field. Even the White House is willing to sit down and discuss terms with ISIS. Terrorism works. If I'm not mistaken, I think if you fish around on YouTube, there's this deleted Star Trek Next Generation scene where Data quizzes Picard on the validity of terroristic means for securing civil rights. Picard, in a roundabout way, he tells him yes, it can have the desired effect of securing civil rights. But he goes on to say that it's not condoned, innocents die. But innocents are already dying. Innocent people are already dying, That's a tangent in and of itself, But, so yeah. The latest shooting. And sure enough, as I predicted, all they're going to do is pull out the mental illness card as a blanketing, sweeping statement. They aren't even going to begin to address or vet this man's issues. Now, in all fairness, he very well may indeed just be pure D crazy. He might, but I don't think so. Something happened, Something happened. If anything, it's a fucked up thing to say. It really is. But I would hope that these shooters at least become more focused and targeted. Stop with the walking into the malls or whatever and spray and pray. What is that shit about? That is crazy. You're just shooting and killing people that have absolutely nothing at all to do with it. Even that LAPD officer that I was talking about a moment ago, he just started shooting and killing the loved ones of the people who theoretically wronged him. You know, like I said, it's a fucked up thing to say, but if you're gonna go on a rampage, dude, kill the people who fucking hurt you. Don't enough with this spray and pray shit. Um, or better yet, don't shoot and kill anybody at all. You know? And it's sad that it gets harder and harder for me to say that and to give that advice to be peaceful and pacifist. It's like what's the tool called that, on wood, it's got a blade and you just take it back and forth to shave the wood down, whatever that tool is called. That's what I feel like is being done to me. I'm just being shaved and chipped and eroded away, just completely eroded away. And these rights, our civil rights, they're being treated like privileges, just like I said in that in the voter registration letter that I read to you. They're treating us like these things that we have are privileges, and that these privileges are doled out by the private sector. In case you're wondering, hold on a second. Sorry. Out here in the woods, sometimes you gotta kill a couple of really big bugs. What was I saying? But yeah, about being chipped away, shaved away, and you want to be able to remain pacifist, but it gets harder. It gets harder, and society just seems to society. That word in and of itself, it becomes more and more menacing, I think. More and more menacing. Very 1984-ish and whatnot. But our rights, they're being privatized. They're being taken away. Please don't mistake me for one of these border states, Bible in one hand, huge, gigantic ass American flag in the other hand, waving it about as the busload of illegal aliens, are trucked about, protesting. That's not me. I do oppose illegal aliens, and yes, I call them illegal aliens because that is what they are. I don't get into that politically correct cockamamie shit. It's what it is. And yes, they are having anchor babies. These women are desperately holding it in until they touch foot on American soil. It is what they're doing. Now, having said that, I understand where you're coming from. It's absolutely horrific, and you want a better life. I totally get it, and I don't fault you for it. My problem is I'm an American, paid a fuckload in taxes, okay? 22.5% every fucking paycheck. And it's a pretty low paycheck to begin with. My 2-week paycheck, standard, $840. Once taxes are done with it, I clear $652. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that goes to pay for your medical care, your transportation, your housing, and all the children that you have. And that's also for American women, too, and all their children. So, the social ills of society, I tell you. But, yeah, so Bryce Williams, he did a terrible thing. But I'm beginning to wonder, I guess maybe that's my whole point here tonight. Is the crime here his slaughter? Or is the real crime society cloaking, aiding those who would wrong him and others? I also can't help but point out that the fact that Bryce Williams is gay is being played down, way down. Now, when a white police officer shoots and kills an unarmed black person, the media doesn't hesitate to point out the races involved there. That's right. The media. Social media. It has indeed become the fourth branch of government. Think about it. YouTube, what I'm coming to you on. Google's executives carefully picks and choose what it will allow on and what it will not allow on. And it does this by what society is trending in. Prior to the Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown and what was it? What's the guy's name in New York? Was choked to death by police for a 75-cent cigarette. But before all of that, YouTube would have said, "You're right. Take down the police videos. It's copyright infringement." But now, because society trends in the fashion, therefore they allow it and they leave it up. So we have social media affecting law. I see. All right. I think I've said enough. There's just so much wrong in America. I could just talk fucking forever. But yeah, Bryce Smith, the latest mass shooter. I don't know if you call it a mass shooting. He killed 2 people, wounding a third. Killed himself. All right, America. Total Control 871.